Well, are you wondering about PRP? If it's right for you, would you like to talk to somebody who's had it done just to really get the firsthand experience of how does this work? Does it work? What would my experience be if I had this? Well, I'm an exercise therapist and a personal trainer. I've had it done a couple of times, so let me tell you my experience. My name is Dawn. I'm with New Dawn Exercise Therapy, and I've been a personal trainer and exercise therapist for a number of years. This is the first time I've ever experienced PRP, platelet-rich plasma. None of my clients had ever undergone it, none of my friends. I didn't really know anyone I could talk to. All I knew was what I was reading online, like you, if you've been doing some research into this area. So I want to share with you a little bit about my experience, what I've uncovered with some of the research and having had it myself, and how I'm doing today. So let's go ahead and get started with that. First of all, what is PRP? It is platelet-rich plasma, okay? Platelets are components of your blood, and they help to clot, and they help to go to an injured site and start a healing process. So they are good. They are little powerhouses in your blood when they function right. So what we're talking about with platelet-rich plasma, and you probably know the word plasma as well. It's a component of the blood. A lot of times we'll hear about donating plasma. So what we do when you go to the doctor is they will take your blood. It's a simple blood draw. They take less blood than they would for a blood donation. They're going to spin that down, and then what's left, they're going to get a concentrated amount of platelets. They're going to inject that back into the plasma, create a nice little solution so it's your own body. And they're going to inject that solution back into your injured area. I want you to think about how platelets might work from a practical approach. Think about if you get a little cut on your skin, okay? Right away, platelets are released by your body to start the clotting process. They're also sending out signals to your body to say, hey, we've got to get some healing going on here. So platelets are a good thing. They contain things called growth factors, and they enhance bone and soft tissue healing. So they are very valuable resources. So what research is showing is if we use this in a proper concentration in the hands of a qualified practitioner, it works. Okay, so for example, my experience was last year I had a couple of partial rotator cuff tears in my shoulder, and I'd done some rehab. They wasn't working, okay? I looked into doing the traditional rotator cuff repair surgery. I have rehabbed a lot of people from that. I know it's a very, very long process. You're in a sling for a long time. There's a lot of downtime. It just did not sound appealing to me whatsoever. And I knew these tears were partial. They weren't full thickness. So I thought, you know what? I'd started to hear just in some of my circles about regenerative medicine, stem cells, and platelets. So I thought, I'm going to start to research that. And I thought, I'm going to try it because I'd read a lot of research articles about athletes using these because they love it. It gets them back to competition quicker. There's not the downtime of a long process, a surgery that they have to recover from. And it's not just a quick fix like a cortisone injection. And that's really not a fix. All it does is cortisone is anti-inflammatory, and it just settles down your symptoms for a while. But it's like putting a quick little Band-Aid on it. It's not going to do anything to fix the problem. So I'd been just reading about a lot of athletes, some Olympic type athletes, baseball players who've been using this, not just for shoulders, but knees, ankles, elbows, different parts of the body. They were getting really, really good success with it. And I thought, you know what? I'm going to give it a shot. So I did my research. I found a highly recommended practitioner in my area. I'm in Southeast Michigan. And I was really comfortable with him. I went to see him. He did an ultrasound on my shoulder. He said, yep, we've got a couple tears there. He said, and the tear is not so extensive where we can't treat it with platelets. So let's go ahead and give it a shot. And he was very confident that this was going to be quite helpful. So went in 1 week. The next week I went in for my injections. Something to keep in mind if you're going to do this, you want to be off of all anti-inflammatories for at least 2 weeks before the procedure. Because the way this works is you want an inflamed area for a little while. It's based upon an inflammatory process. That's how everything gets going in the area once they inject it. So you don't want to have anything like an ibuprofen or anything like an anti-inflammatory for a couple weeks beforehand. So I made sure I'd done enough research. I was pretty sure I was going to do it, so I had already been off of those for a couple weeks. They go in, they draw your blood. I kind of hung out for an hour while they did the process, you know, spinning it down, concentrating those platelets. Doctor came back in, said, you know, we've got a super high concentration. I'm really happy with the numbers, so we're going to do this. They take me back into the OR, and he had initially told me, oh yeah, it'll be a little uncomfortable. Well, I've learned, don't really trust a physician when they tell you that. This thing was maybe the most painful thing I've ever experienced. It hurt, okay? It hurt. Because again, the thing is, we need to have an inflammatory response. A cortisone injection, the first part of that needle has got a little bit of an anesthetic, okay? And then once they put it in there, you're not gonna really feel it. You'll feel the pressure. With this, they cannot do that. They have to go directly into that injured site with nothing numbing it up, okay? So it was bad. They did offer me some anesthesia. I didn't want to spend another $500 because this was already pretty expensive. And B, I know that anesthesia does carry its own risks, so I wanted to just kind of do it straight up. He said, yeah, most people do it this way. They offered me a little bit of laughing gas, and I tried it, but it didn't do anything for me. But there is that option. They said it would take the edge off. I don't know. So anyway, I've had this done a couple of times, and I'll explain the difference very soon. But my first time was going directly into those tendons. Second time was into a capsule. So the tendons themselves, going right into those tendons, was crazy pain. And you just have to hang in there. I think I held the nurse's hand, and then she handed me a little squishy ball because I think I was about ready to break her hand off. So I had to get through that pain, and I won't lie to you, afterwards he said, no, you're gonna have to wait about 10 minutes because everything we injected in, it's gonna have to settle in. You know, there's just a lot of things that are kind of being absorbed into those tendons right now, and it was no joke. I had to practice my deep breathing. I had to just focus on not going into shock because it was very painful. So just be aware of that if you're gonna do this, okay? But I'm gonna say it's worth it because it's short-term pain for long-term gain. Before I move on, I wanted to go this route because I wanted to give my body its own tissue to heal itself and repair itself, because I had read enough of the literature that said the body can heal itself with this procedure, and that really, they were speaking my language with that, okay? So they had me, you know, just lay there, recover for about maybe 20 minutes. I took some extra strength Tylenol because you can take that. That's not an anti-inflammatory, that just takes away the pain. They said I could drive myself home, and I was in too much pain, so fortunately my husband came and got me. He drove me home. And if your doctor is real with you, and most of the literature will tell you this too, your pain will get worse for about 3 to 5 days before it starts getting better, okay? Remember, no anti-inflammatories, so this is not gonna be an easy ride right after it. And they were serious. I felt like the next day I could barely lift my arm. It was worse than before I went in for my injections, and part of me, the little voice in my head is like, what in the world have you done? But I knew they told me 3 to 5 days, you're gonna be hurting a lot more. So I got that done on a Thursday. Friday, I couldn't even reach up to turn on the tap of my sink to get a drink of water. Next day, I could reach it, turn on the water. Couldn't get the glass to my mouth. Sunday, could at least get the glass to my mouth. Couldn't tilt my hand. Monday, could start turning my hand, okay? So it got better, but again, the first few days, really bad pain. I got that done on a Thursday. The following Thursday was Thanksgiving. I was able to cook our full Thanksgiving meal, so I was doing better after just a few days. You couldn't use ice because again, you don't want to settle down that inflammatory process. So I was using very warm showers and a hot water bottle, just anything to try to keep anything to settle down, to try to get to ease my pain down. Downtime. First few days, I really didn't want to do anything because I felt it was very uncomfortable. Driving, yeah, the next day I could, but it wasn't all that easy. I had to be super careful. The doctor said I could start doing physical therapy type movements for the first few weeks until I saw him at the 4-week mark. And that was good because you want to keep it moving, but this is not the time to just, oh, what can I do now? You know, you want to take it easy and just start to gradually ramp up your activity. That being said, I was just glad I was not in a sling like I would have been with a rotator cuff repair. I mean, it could have been so much worse. So I have another video that talked about how I got through it, all my practical tips, how I washed my hair, how I dressed, all that kind of stuff. I went to see him at the 4-week mark, and he goes, yep, you're on target. Now let's start to increase your weight training as tolerated. Research shows that the proliferation of the new tissue, those platelets, what they're laying down, is happening between weeks 2 and 6. and it really ramps up. It peaks at week 12. So you're talking about 3 months. And that's where my surgeon decided to give me another repeat ultrasound. He goes, let's see how those tendons are filling in. And you know what? They were filling in pretty well. And I was thrilled. I was so grateful. And then I knew I could safely start to ramp my weights up, start to do more and more with my strength training because I love to lift heavy. Now, I did get re-injected on both sides at about the 4-month mark because just my luck, I got frozen shoulder. This one had been frozen before I went in. I would say the summer before, after I knew I'd gotten the tears. I had been keeping my arm really still, so that one had froze on me. But this one started to freeze up. As this one was getting better, this one was freezing up on me. Frozen shoulder, I did a video on that. You can pull that up. I'll have it in the links. So I went back in to see the surgeon. He re-ultrasounds both shoulders. He goes, everything's looking good. You have no tendon tears. But he goes, I think we should inject you with PRP, and that has been proven to help with frozen shoulder. He was right. I had done my research, so I knew. The procedure, fortunately, was a lot less painful because he was just going into the capsule itself and not any tendons. So I tolerated that very well. I had super little downtime with that one. And you know what? I'm now a couple months out from that, and I'm doing really well. My weight training has been going up and up. And just every so often I get a little twinge in the shoulder, but that's it. I am happy. If someone said, would you do PRP again? My absolute answer would be yes. Even though I know it's gonna hurt like heck initially, I know long-term I'm gonna end up getting really results, and hopefully you will too. Some things you wanna keep in mind. Do your research. Find someone good that knows what they're doing, okay? Someone in the industry called the place that I went to the Ferrari dealership of PRP. All right, and that was really important to me because I want the best if I'm going to spend the money. And they have their in-house lab where they can really concentrate what they draw out of you. They can really spin it down and concentrate it, and they tailor it to the patient and the needs. And I really like that because if you're going to do this, you want to do it right. They usually just do their treatments in one injection for PRP. I had been looking into it a few other places, and they did a series of 3. I wanted it one and done because if it hurt that bad, I wasn't going to go through it 2 more times unless I absolutely had to. Okay, so keep that in mind. It's not a quick fix. You're going to hurt more short term than say if you got a cortisone shot. People like cortisone shots because usually if they're going to work, they kick in right away, and it's like, oh, I don't have any pain. But we're not really treating the condition. We're not making it better. It's still there. We're just making everything feel good for a while. And I just didn't want that. I want to fix it because I want to be active long term. So realize it's not a quick fix. If you're looking for that, this might not be for you. It's not covered by insurance. Okay, it is a little bit pricey. But when I looked into how much that surgery, the rotator cuff repair surgery, was going to be with my very high deductible and out-of-pocket cost, this ended up being a little bit less expensive for me. Keep that in mind, okay? If money is an issue, that this won't be covered by your insurance. I liked it because I could avoid anesthesia, okay? The thought of undergoing general anesthesia with a major surgery scared me. I've got some family history with not good responses to anesthesia, so I didn't want to undergo that. And I didn't want the long recovery from a traditional surgery. So was there some recovery with this? Yes. But I could stay active pretty much. I could still walk my dog. I could still drive. I could still cook and bathe myself and all that jazz and do my hair. So that was my experience with my shoulder. If you're doing it for a knee or an elbow or other part of your body, obviously it's going to be a little bit different, okay? Again, would I recommend it? Absolutely, okay? I might be the first person you've ever listened to, that's had it done, because nobody in my world had it done before. I was the guinea pig, and they were going to be like, let me know how that goes for you. And I love that now I can tell them, you know what, it was a good thing. It really was. So I'd do it again. Hope I don't have to do it again, but I would do it again. So if you got any questions or concerns, please get in touch with me. I'd be happy to help you out. And all my links to various things I mentioned are down in the description. Have a great day. I will talk to you again soon.